Carolyn Ryan, and we are at the America Project booth, coming to you from AmFest in Phoenix, of course, Turning Point USA's big event, and I'm here with Josh McKoon. Josh is the GOP chair in this wonderful state of Georgia, and Josh, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so you have been on the job now as chairman of the GOP in Georgia for how long?
About 7 months.
About 7 months. What has it been like?
It's been a whirlwind. You know, we're dealing with a lot of different issues. Obviously preparing for the 2024 election, election integrity is top of mind, prosecuting the case against Joe Biden, defending our electors who are being subjected to a witch hunt. So we have a full plate in Georgia.
We have a full plate, and I think so many people hear Georgia and they think immediately to our election process in Georgia. What happened in 2020? Brian Kemp, Brad Raffensperger, their names have been in the news and in the headlines for almost 3 years now. What is the state, from your perspective, what is the state of our election process in Georgia? Is it secure enough for the 2024 election?
So a lot of improvements have been made since 2020. The Senate Bill 202 did a lot to cut down, particularly on concerns around absentee ballots and the drop boxes. Still a lot of work to be done, though. We're dealing with the same voting machines. You know, we've asked the Secretary of State to heed the warnings of a University of Michigan computer science professor, the federal government, the manufacturers of the machines. So obviously there's still work to be done, and we're very excited to work with our legislators come January to see some additional election integrity measures.
So we just had a special session. Is that session now over?
It is. That
Okay.
was a session just for redistricting.
Okay. Now the grassroots in Georgia have been calling for a special session for months, and that has fallen pretty much on deaf ears, and to address specifically the machines and election integrity. That has fallen on deaf ears. Do you feel like there's any hope to address the machines before 2024 in our state legislature?
Yeah, so the general election in November, there is obviously still a window of time to address issues regarding our voting process. Presidential preference primary March 12th, probably not, but the legislature goes back into session January 8th. So it's just a couple of weeks, they'll be back in, and I am expecting, spoken to a lot of legislators, should see a lot of activity on new election integrity measures.
Are they, the legislators that you speak with, are they articulating to you that they hear and acknowledge the calls of the grassroots, because they have been so dedicated to trying to get their ears? They're calling, they're emailing, they're showing up in St. Simons to these meetings, they're holding their signs, they go to the state board election meetings. Are the legislators hearing them?
I think absolutely. The ones that I'm speaking to are very concerned about heeding that call, and I think you're going to see legislation introduced, if not before the session that first week, that speaks directly to some of the issues grassroots Republicans are concerned about.
Recently, I posted on my Twitter a video clip that was sent to me of Brian Kemp at a fish fry in South Georgia, admitting to a voter that the voting machines can be hacked. Did you see that clip, and what was your reaction?
You know, I've seen the clip. I guess my reaction is, I think all of us are united in the cause of having fair elections in Georgia. I think we all want that. And I think if you look at the leadership the legislature provided in moving Senate Bill 202 forward, it addressed a lot of the issues and concerns from 2020. Obviously, Governor Kemp signed that bill. I think we're going to see the legislature continue to react to that concern and criticism in 2024.
Okay. Where does the Georgia GOP stand with regard to paper ballots that are hand-marked and hand-counted on the precinct level? Is that an initiative that the Georgia GOP thinks would be a viable option for our elections?
So one of the things that happened at my very first Republican National Committee meeting was a resolution on election integrity was adopted unanimously by the committee in favor of paper ballots. And I think that is where most grassroots Republicans are. I think it's where people would like to be in Georgia. Whether or not the legislature is able to make that transition in 2024, we'll have to wait and see. I do think we're going to see measures about getting rid of the QR codes on the ballots that are generated by the machines now, so that you can truly have a hand count, that you're looking at the human readable text instead of what's embedded into the QR code. So I think we're going to see some good reforms next year. I don't know if we'll get all the way to a hand-marked paper ballot, hand-counted, hand-marked paper ballot system.
But what we saw in Spalding County was an interesting solution, I thought, in that they said, okay, we'll use the machines, but we're going to almost do an immediate audit. We're going to hand count them before they even leave our doors. And so I think that's an interesting thing too. I think there's some room there to maybe that could be palatable to legislators that may be on different spectrums.
And I think you're going to see that kind of effort in a lot of counties.
Yeah.
To say, okay, let's trust but verify. Let's be able to do that count.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So we have a pretty big state election board meeting coming up on Tuesday this week. I know a lot of those grassroots are going to be there. They're going to hold a press conference, and it's interesting because a news story that kind of broke, it's not new, but it's sort of making its rounds on social media as if it's new. A Georgia resident had discovered almost 18,000 ballots that did not have a corresponding ballot image in the second count back from 2020. And that case is being heard at the state election board meeting. Is that right? What is your take on that? And what's Brad Raffensperger kind of knew? And he and the governor kind of punted it to the state election board, and the state election board hasn't taken it up for 3 years. Where does that stand, and what do you expect to come out of that meeting on Tuesday?
Well, I think there's some discussion now even that the state elections board may not hear the Rossi complaint next week. At least that's what I've been hearing here over the weekend. But obviously, all of us are concerned about Fulton County election administration. It's been a disaster for years. Right now, Fulton County commissioners are blocking one of our appointees to the Board of Registrations and Elections. The Georgia Republican Party and the Fulton County Party have actually sued Fulton County, taken them to court,
really?
Just to try to get our choice on the board. They already have a majority, but they don't even want us to have two Republicans to be watchdogs looking at that process. So obviously, we need to, have the Rossi complaint fully investigated. We need a full set of findings from the state elections board, but we need better election administration in Fulton County.
Yeah. Please keep me posted on that lawsuit.
Absolutely.
What's his name? Is it Jason?
Jason Frazier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, keep me posted on that. What was kind of switching gears a little bit, what was your reaction to, we had a big ruling in Rudy Giuliani's case with the two election workers, Ruby and Shay. And you got to feel bad for the guy. He's been fighting so hard for election integrity. And what we saw in that video was alarming to most of the country.
Well, and again, the amount may be shocking to people that aren't familiar with Fulton County, Georgia, but you have 72% of that jury pool voted for Joe Biden. They're looking to mete out political vengeance. They're not interested in the facts. And that's why Fani Willis is pursuing these bogus criminal charges, because she's hoping she can get it to a jury that will make a decision not based on the facts or the law, but on simple political vengeance.
Josh, it's astounding that this case was brought. It really is when you look at the nuts and bolts of this case. And the heart of it is that phone call, which was entirely subjective. Entirely subjective. It gives me goosebumps to think that this is our judicial system today, and that they can go after not only Donald Trump for a phone call that was completely subjective, but all the people that were around him as well. What is going on with Fani Willis, and is there any hope with a Republican legislature that we can seek some accountability for what she's doing?
Well, what I'm hoping, there's been a complaint filed against her with the DA Qualifications Commission, sort of a watchdog the legislature created last year. But the best thing we can do is win this thing in court. We've got motions to dismiss for our electors that were heard earlier this month. We need to beat her in court, then we need to beat her at the ballot box, because this is about the country. We have to draw a red line and say the criminal justice system cannot be used to punish our political adversaries.
That's right.
This is not a third world, should not be a third world banana republic. This is the United States of America. And so what she is doing is the most dangerous threat to the American Republic in my lifetime.
It is. And we have so much crime in Fulton County. And the moment she got in office, it was all hands on deck to pursue this bogus investigation.
There's serious, violent felons who are being allowed to walk around. They're victims that are waiting on justice, black, white, Republican, Democrat, because of her gross incompetence, her desire to bootstrap herself with this case, do a fundraising tour around America. She cares more about that than she does victims of violent crime.
Yeah. Last question for you, Josh. I think America wants to, and give us some hope here with Georgia, because I don't think Republicans win the White House without Georgia. And Fulton County is such a problem. Yes, we have 202. Yes, there are some improvements that were made, but our voter registration is a nightmare. We're still voting on the machines. Let's hope we can address some of that. But give us some hope behind the scenes that we're going to have a safe and secure election in 2024, because it comes down to Georgia.
Well, you've got a Georgia Republican Party that is awake and on guard. We've been intervening in these cases that Mark Elias and his left-wing allies have been bringing to try to weaken election integrity in our state. We're in the midst now of an unprecedented recruitment campaign, not just for lawyers, poll watchers, poll workers. We recognize this is not election day, it's election season. And so the Georgia Republican Party is going to do everything we can to make sure we have a fair election. 2020, 1.3 million paper absentee ballots. Donald Trump loses the certified count by 11,000 votes. 2022, 300,000 paper absentee ballots. Brian Kemp wins a historic 8-point margin victory. We know what we need to do. We've just got to get our people on the field and execute.
What do you need from the people watching at home? Where can they go to if they want to get involved, they want to help, they want to volunteer, they want to be a poll watcher? Where do people go?
They need to go to our website, gagop.org. That's your home for the Georgia Republican Party. We can get you connected with your county organization, but we need boots on the ground, we need volunteers, we need your help.
Yeah, and we know that you are an America First patriot, and we're glad that you were elected to be the chair of the party in Georgia, and we hope that we see some big reforms, and we know we've got you on the case. So
we're going to be fighting hard.
Thank you.
Thank
it was a
you.
pleasure.
I appreciate
Thank you so much.
it.